In a hidden valley, surrounded by tall, green mountains, lay the small village of Amara. It was a beautiful place. The flowers were always blooming, the air smelled like sweet pine, and the river flowed with clear, cool water. However, Amara was different from any other village in the world. In Amara, there were no mirrors. There was no glass in the windows. The pots and pans were made of clay, not shiny metal. Even the river moved so fast that the water was always rippling. It never became still enough to show a reflection. The people of Amara did not know what they looked like. A man did not know if his nose was big or small. A woman did not know if her hair was perfectly straight or messy. Because of this, nobody worried about being beautiful or handsome. Instead, the people of Amara focused on how they felt inside. In this village lived a young woman named Elara. She was a baker. Every morning she woke up before the sun. She mixed flour and water to make fresh bread. The smell of her warm bread woke up the neighbors. One sunny morning, Elara walked to the market square with a basket of bread. She saw her friend, Thomas. Thomas was a carpenter who built strong tables and chairs. "Good morning, Thomas," Elara said with a bright smile. Thomas looked at Elara. He did not say, "You look pretty today." He did not say, "Your hair is messy." In Amara, people use different words. "Good morning, Elara," Thomas replied. "You look like joy today. Your eyes are bright like the morning sun." Elara laughed. "Thank you, Thomas. You look like strength today. You stand tall like a big oak tree." This was the way of the village. They described each other based on their energy and their actions. If someone was kind, they looked warm. If someone was angry, they looked stormy. Elara felt light and happy. She did not worry if she had flour on her cheek. She did not check if her clothes were perfect. She simply focused on being kind and making delicious bread. The village was peaceful. There was no jealousy. There was no vanity. But the mountains could not hide the village forever. The outside world was coming closer, and everything was about to change. A few days later, a strange sound broke the silence of the valley. It was the sound of heavy wheels on dirt and the jingling of bells. A wagon pulled by a tired horse arrived at the village gate. A man sat on the wagon. He wore clothes made of bright, shiny silk, and he had many gold rings on his fingers. He was a merchant from a faraway city. The villagers of Amara gathered around him. They were curious. They had never seen clothes like his. The merchant hopped down from his wagon. He smiled, but his smile did not reach his eyes. "Greetings," he shouted. "I have come to sell you wonderful things. I have spices, soft fabrics, and tools." Elara and Thomas watched from the back of the crowd. The merchant looked around the village square nervously. He touched his hair. He adjusted his collar. "Excuse me," the merchant said to a villager. "Where is your mirror? I need to check my appearance after my long journey. My beard must be messy." The villager looked confused. "We do not have mirrors here," the villager said simply. "But do not worry. You look tired, but you look like a man with many stories." The merchant laughed loudly. "No mirrors. How do you live? How do you know if you are handsome? How do you know if you are better than your neighbor?" The villagers did not understand his questions. Why did they need to be better than their neighbors? The merchant stayed until the sun began to set. He sold some spices and a few metal knives. As he packed his wagon to leave, he felt frustrated by this strange village. In his hurry, he did not notice that a small object fell from his pocket. It landed softly in the tall grass near the riverbank. It was a small silver hand mirror. The merchant rode away, leaving a cloud of dust behind him. The village became quiet again. Later that evening, Elara went to the river to fetch water. Something shiny in the grass caught her eye. She bent down and picked it up. Elara held the object in her hands. It was heavy and cool to the touch. The back was decorated with silver leaves, but the front was smooth and bright, like the surface of a calm lake. Slowly, Elara turned the object over. For the first time in her life, she saw a face. Her eyes widened. She saw two brown eyes, a small nose, and lips that were slightly open in surprise. She touched her cheek, and the person in the glass touched her cheek too. "This is me," she whispered. At first, she was amazed. She looked at the color of her eyes. She smiled, and the reflection smiled. But then her feelings changed. She looked closer. My nose is a little crooked, she thought. She frowned. And my hair, is it too frizzy? The merchant had such smooth hair. Elara sat by the river for an hour. She did not fetch the water. She just stared at herself. She began to find flaws. She wished her chin was different. She wished her eyebrows were thinner. The next morning, Elara did not bake bread. The neighbors woke up, but there was no smell of warm yeast. They were hungry and confused. Thomas came to Elara's house. Elara, are you sick? He asked. Elara opened the door, but she was hiding the mirror behind her back. She looked anxious. I am busy, Thomas. Go away. Thomas was shocked. Elara was never rude. You do not look like joy today, Thomas said sadly. You look like a storm cloud. I don't care about that, Elara snapped. I care about my hair. She slammed the door. Inside, she went back to the mirror. She tried to flatten her hair. She pinched her cheeks to make them red. She was no longer happy. She was obsessed with the image in the silver glass. She felt small and ugly, even though she was the same person she had been yesterday. Days passed. The happiness of Amara began to fade. Elara had showed the mirror to a few other friends. Now they were also worrying. One woman was crying because she thought her ears were too big. A man was angry because he thought he looked weak. The village elder, a wise woman named Mira, noticed the silence. No one was laughing in the square. No one was working together. Mira walked to Elara's house. She found Elara sitting in the dark, holding the mirror. Elara looked tired and sad. Elara, the elder said gently, may I see what you are holding? Elara hesitated, then handed the mirror to Mira. The elder did not look into it. Instead, she placed it face down on the table. This object, the elder said, is why our ancestors forbade mirrors in Amara. But why? Elara asked, a tear rolling down her cheek. I just wanted to know who I am. Now that I see myself, I don't like it. The elder took Elara's hands. My dear, that glass does not show who you are. It only shows your shell. It shows your skin, your nose, and your hair. It cannot show your kindness. It cannot show the love you put into your bread. It cannot show your bravery. The elder continued, when you look in a mirror, you only see yourself. When you look at your neighbors, you see us. You see the community. This glass separates you from others. Elara looked at the silver object. She realized the elder was right. Since she found the mirror, she had been lonely. She had been judgmental. She had stopped being a baker and a friend. What should we do? Elara asked. We will give it back to the earth, the elder said. Together, they walked to the garden behind the house. They dug a deep hole in the soil. Elara placed the mirror in the hole and covered it with dirt. As the dirt covered the shiny glass, Elara felt a heavy weight lift off her shoulders. She took a deep breath. She looked at the elder. Thank you, Mira, Elara said. You look like peace. The elder smiled. And you, Elara, look like hope. The next morning, the smell of fresh bread floated through the village again. The people of Amara returned to their work. They stopped worrying about the size of their noses or the shape of their ears. They went back to seeing the beauty in each other's actions, and the village was happy once more.